Hey there guys, welcome to AFC Game by Game. First and foremost, and not for the first time, having to apologise for not having done a video in quite a while. I'm sure you can understand life gets in the way, but when I've got over 3,000 people still tuned into the channel, given that my content certainly isn't the most consistent, I feel that it's only right that I do something. And to be honest, with over 3,000 people watching, even if I just had 100 people tuned into the channel, it's a massive, massive privilege. I'm incredibly humbled, and it's not something I want to give up. I don't want to see AFC Game by Game peter out, and for that reason, I'm going to try and do as much content as I possibly can over the summer. When I say that, I am going to try and aim for one video a week. I know that's not being overly ambitious. It's a bit more realistic. It's a bit more what I'm feasible to do. I'm doing a lot over this summer, and for June it was mental for me, and I'm really, really disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to do a video following that emphatic FA Cup final win against Chelsea, because so much has happened. We've been linked to so many players. We've signed one player. Arsene Wenger has signed a new 2-year contract at Arsenal, but personally, I've been working on a documentary for an ex-professional footballer. I've had the chance to interview Fabian Delph, Robert Snodgrass, Steve Claridge. I'm working part-time for United London FC. I started up an internship. I'm doing quite a bit at the minute, and it's really, really exciting for me on a personal level. I won't go on about that too much. I don't want to come across as if I'm showing off at all, but obviously, you know, it's really exciting for me on a personal level, and to finish my second year at university, that was holding me back massively. Going into my third and final year now, I can't wait to get that over and done with. But I don't want to make it sound as if I've got no free time whatsoever, but I'm sure anyone that does any sort of creative job and works in the content sort of sector realises that your work schedule is kind of all over the place, working in one place, working in another place, working from home, doing editing, filming, social media stuff. It all gets in the way, it all gets on top of you a bit, and you're never really sure where you stand. But as I say, when I've got the free time, I want to be able to do these videos. Currently, I'm doing this one at about 11 o'clock on a Saturday evening. So it's one that I wanted to do, and I don't want to put it off any longer because I'm kind of in the mood to do it. I've got a few things that I want to mention, and you know, I feel like talking to a camera. I haven't done it in a while, so looking forward to this one. First and foremost, I want to say that I am going to try and do videos every single week throughout the course of the summer on a Saturday, I think, where I'll be talking about Arsenal's transfer rumours, gossip, anything else that's got going on in the club. But as well as that, I don't know if you remember, but last season I had a little feature with Was the Gooner, Warren. He featured in my documentary. He's been on the channel quite a few times. We had a 2-episode series of Canon chat, which is something that we wanted to do. Unfortunately for both of us, we didn't have enough time to do it, and it's something that we're going to be taking a lot more seriously next season. I'm not saying it's going to be massive, but we do want to make it a little project. Myself, Was, and one other person, I won't mention him just yet, are going to be included on that feature, and it's something that we're hoping to run throughout the course of the 2017-18 season, and throughout the course of the summer. We'll be debuting our first episode next season, where I'll be able to introduce as well our special guest. But we have set up a Twitter, so I'll put that in the description box below. And it's just going to be a fun little project, all of us talking about Arsenal. It should be a lot more feasible for all of us. There's going to be 3 of us involved, and we're going to be having guests on every now and then, so you know, we can rotate a bit more, and if one of us can't make a certain video, then someone else will be able to step in. And all round, it's a great way for us to keep content consistent, and for some of us to have a breather, for some of us to get more involved than others. It's a really exciting project, and something that I'm very excited to be a part of. And I want to thank Warren personally, because he has given me the kind of inspiration to do it. It was his idea to kind of rejuvenate it, and hopefully we can get it off to a good start and keep it consistent throughout the course of the season. As I say, on Wednesday or Thursday next week, we'll be looking to do our first episode, and it should be good. A lot to talk about, but I'll talk about a few things first and foremost in this video. There's a lot I've missed, as I say. First of all, Arsene Wenger signing a 2-year deal. What are my thoughts on that? Well, I feel like it was always going to happen. I feel like we were delaying the inevitable really throughout the course of that last 3-4 months of the season. We all knew in a way it was going to happen, no matter what the protests were, no matter how vocal people were about their discretion of Arsene Wenger. So it comes no real surprise to me, especially following that FA Cup final win against Chelsea. It was a great opportunity for the club to announce it. In a way, I do think Arsene Wenger is missing out on an opportunity to leave the club on a high. Will he get another opportunity like this in these 2 years? I'm not too sure. It's going to be getting all the more competitive. He had a great chance to leave on a high. Now it's going to be increasingly difficult for him to win the Premier League, in my opinion. And I do think it leaves a bit of a sour taste to a lot of fans. I mean, a lot of people have not been happy with the way the club has kind of, I wouldn't even say, well, I think people wanted to see a transformation in June, and we haven't really seen that. I think people wanted to see certain coaching members leave the club. We haven't seen that. The whole backroom staff have signed new deals with the club, so it does kind of have that feeling of same old, same old. Hopefully on the pitch it won't be the same old, and whilst Arsene Wenger is Arsenal manager, then you know, it's not the decision I personally would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen a fresh approach. But with this new formation, I want to put my faith in it. If Arsene Wenger is to lead that, with him being in place for 2 years, then all I can do is get behind him. There's no point throwing my toys out the pram because it's not going to change anything for the next 2 years. It's got to take next season in our stride, I think. Start it well, get a few transfers in, and hopefully we can start positively. I want to see us go into that first game against Leicester City with a good squad, a squad that is ready, which is something that we weren't last season, so that some of us that were very anti-Arsene Wenger last season can put our faith in him heading into the first couple of months of the campaign. It's vital that we get off to a good start, something we haven't done in previous years. So, yeah, mixed opinions on that, really. But next up, being linked with Kylian Mbappé of Monaco, the 18-year-old. Brilliant prodigy. Had a great second half of the season at Monaco. Absolutely tore up the Champions League. That game he had away at Dortmund was absolutely sublime. That's what the game that really brought him to light, in my opinion. And a player I would love to see at Arsenal, but for in excess of £130 million, yeah, I probably would still have him, to be fair. Don't really care about the transfer fee, but is it a realistic transfer? No. There's a 5 to 10% chance of us getting him. The only thing that I think would turn his head at Arsenal is Arsene Wenger and what he has done with previous strikers in the names of Canon, Wiltord, Adebayor, Robin van Persie, Thierry Henry. I mean, all these players, these forward men that have done so well under Arsene Wenger, maybe that's something that would turn the head of Kylian Mbappé. But I think personally he's going to stay on at Monaco. That's just my personal feeling. Develop more in the French league and then move on to a club like Barcelona, Real Madrid. Those sort of clubs will be looking at him. So for me, it's a very unrealistic transfer, but one that is a lot more realistic is, of course, Alexandre Lacazette. Alexander, whatever you want to call him, who would be, in my opinion, whatever you think about him, no matter how many penalties he's scored in Ligue 1, would be a very clinical, deadly and brilliant asset to this Arsenal team. A side that's been lacking a clinical finisher in recent years. That's blatantly obvious. He's one of the best strikers that we could get. The fact people are angry and upset about this transfer bewilders me. I think it's just because he's kind of coming in the shadow of all that Mbappé news. So, for me, be happy about Lacazette being linked to Arsenal because he's a very good striker, a deadly finisher. He's better than the options that we've currently got. I think he's a lot more clinical. He is a lot more clinical than Danny Welbeck. He's a lot more technically able than someone like Olivier Giroud. Got a lot more pace about him. He can offer something that our strikers can't. But I do think he's only a good signing if we are to keep, of course, Alexis Sanchez. Before I talk about Alexis Sanchez, one signing we have already made, Kolašinac, a fullback that we've got on a free transfer. You know, I'm really happy with him. I'm really happy with that signing. It's a free transfer, and I don't know why people should be turning their noses at that just because he cost he cost nothing. A great signing, in my opinion. A very promising fullback, just 24 years of age, with Kieran Gibbs looking to leave Arsenal this summer, with Monreal coming up to 32 in the new season. Brilliant signing, absolutely brilliant. And for a player that, if he had a couple of years left on his contract, would be costing us about 20 to 25 million. A lot of other clubs sniffing around him, going to the Bundesliga Team of the Year. Can only be happy about this. I'd rather we got him for nothing and put the saved transfer kitty onto another player, someone like Lacazette. It's a very good bit of business from Arsenal, and I can't wait to see Kolašinac start the first game of the season, if he is to start. I'm looking forward to seeing him in pre-season, should I say. But to the more doom and gloom, Alexis Sanchez, it's been turbulent in recent weeks, to say the very least. Most recently coming out before the Confederations Cup final and saying that he doesn't know. He says two contrasting things. He first of all said he doesn't know to Brian Swanson what his future is. And then he goes on in the actual press conference and says that he does know what his future is, but he's just not telling anyone. So, don't know what to make of that. I would have thought, my gut feeling tells me that if he was to stay on Arsenal, he would have just come out and said, I'm an Arsenal player. And in respect to Arsenal, he should have said that anyway, in my opinion. I think it's... I hate the way players toy with clubs like this. I really do. He's under a contract. He should be committed to Arsenal whilst he's under that contract. And when those questions are asked to him, he shouldn't be saying, I don't know. He should be saying, I'm an Arsenal player. That's just my personal opinion. Maybe that's me being a bit old school. But if he's got respect for the club, that's the approach he should be having, in my eyes. And for me, it's very reminiscent of the Robin van Persie transfer back in 2011-12 when he came out, wrote that statement saying that the club and himself didn't agree with the way in which Arsenal should move forward. And it kind of feels like the exact same. And I can't really blame Alexis for wanting to move because he is a player that's capable of winning silverware. He's capable of winning the Premier League, the Champions League. He can have it all. He's become a much better player at Arsenal when we first signed him. I think he's developed massively under Arsene Wenger, so credit to Wenger where it's due. Become a very renowned forward. At the age of coming up to 29 now, he's going to want to win things, coming into the peak of his career, the tail end of it irrespectively. And yeah, I mean, his head is certainly going to be looking towards Manchester. He's going to be looking towards the north with Pep Guardiola, where he could be looking to reunite with his former Barcelona manager. The project they've got going on at City with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, Gabriel Jesus, Leroy Sané, Sergio Aguero, this fantastic squad of players that they've got, these young players, these prodigies that are going to do so well in the future, you'd assume, with Alexis Sanchez linking up into that front trio that they've got. I mean, a front three of Alexis, Sané and Jesus is just unbelievable. That'd be absolutely incredible, and you could see why he'd be excited by that team. That's a team that's capable of winning the title if Sanchez was to join up with their ranks. But for me, I'm sincerely hoping it doesn't happen. If it does happen, then I'm just not going to watch football for the next couple of, well, years probably. That would be devastating, it would be a massive backward step for Arsenal Football Club if we allow him to go to Manchester City. It would be us accepting that they're, at this moment in time, a more powerful club than us, not just in terms of finances, but in terms of who they can attract. We'd be losing our prized asset, and if we bring in Lemar, Lacazette, whoever, it's going to be a step down, and that's the reality for me. Alexis is a one-in-a-kind of player. You're never going to find another player like him. He's so unique. He offers so much to Arsenal Football Club. Selling him onto Manchester City will only hinder Arsenal at this moment in time, and it's going to strengthen Manchester City. And effectively, you know, it leaves me with little to no hope of us winning the Premier League next season, because it's the exact same as us when we handed the title to Manchester United by giving them Robin van Persie. We're kind of doing the same if we are to put Sanchez in a Manchester City shirt, and it would be totally our own fault for letting ourselves get into this situation with him just having 1 year left on his contract. You can't blame him for having ambition, but I just hope he doesn't go to Man City. It would be a bad dream. It would be horrible. I'm praying, I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, my toes are crossed that he doesn't go there. I would sooner lose him on a free to someone like Bayern Munich next season when he's going to be coming up to 30. I hate waking up every morning and seeing there's a new article out about him that he's going to be going to Manchester City, because again it is so reminiscent of the Nasri, the Van Persie sort of situations where we're having to sell our best players, and it just feels like 5 years later, after that Van Persie transfer, we shouldn't be in the same situation. It's poor, it's incredibly poor, and it would show that this club is certainly headed in the wrong direction. But I am excited by the potential transfer of Lacazette. If we do keep Alexis, then Alexis and Ozil playing behind Lacazette, very formidable front three. And then if we are able to keep Olivier Giroud, again, a brilliant plan B. And then Welbeck as well, a very useful utility player, proving himself to be very capable in the last couple of months of the season. And I'm excited by this Arsenal squad in general following that change of formation, the three at the back. But I'm not going to get in over my head just yet, because we have seen these promising ends to the season so many times before. It all counts on the first day against Leicester. We've got to make sure this squad is prepared. Hopefully Arsene Wenger will do the business and we can get off to a good start in the Premier League. Hopefully that will be with Alexis Sanchez in an Arsenal shirt as well. But my gut feeling is that just the way he's saying things, his body language in his press conferences, it doesn't fill me with hope about a man that is dedicated to playing for Arsenal Football Club. He doesn't seem overly keen on playing for Arsenal at the moment. His interviews in recent weeks have been certainly giving off that vibe. But maybe I'm reading into it too much. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up there. Please do drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to AFC Game by Game. Tune into Canon Chat when we get that going in the week. And as always, I'll be speaking to you very, very soon, hopefully.